Grief is the moment you realize you're not in control. Life overrides you, your emotions take over, and logic becomes irrelevant. Grief is the turning point in the cycle of life.
What's the definition of insanity? Ain't it just a difference in reality?
I'm Dr. Toni Reilly. This is the SoulLife Psychology podcast where intuition meets logic. So far, we explored recall, we explored reconnection to passed over loved ones and how life continues beyond the body. Now we're moving into grief. Grief is the emotional center of life. It's the second pinnacle in the cycle. Birth establishes the self. Grief expands awareness, and death returns us to the collective. Most people live in the birth phase for decades. Self, survival, identity. Grief interrupts that. The circle of life. In SoulLife Psychology, life moves through three pinnacles: birth, grief, and death. Birth is you, or the self. You arrive, you adapt, you form identity, you develop emotional bruises. Bruises shape how you experience love, safety, and belonging. Then life happens. Something changes, something big that affects someone you love, a relationship, your health, your identity, your certainty. That's when you enter grief. The circle turns whether you understand it or not. This is a turning point in your life. There's before what happened and there's after what happened. Let's examine what grief is. Grief is the internal processing of irreversible change: death, divorce, betrayal, infertility, illness, loss of identity, a pet, freedom. It's irreversible change that creates devastation. Grief is a process that must be lived through. There's no shortcut. You do not understand grief until you're in it. Before grief, you think you understand sadness, but after grief, you understand what it means to feel it. The shock makes it difficult to function as usual. Tears flow without control. Things you once enjoyed lose their appeal. You withdraw into a phase that you just don't recognize. Let's talk about supporting someone in grief. If you are supporting someone in grief, stay with them, let them speak, listen to them. Even when the story repeats, even when nothing changes, don't compare your experience to theirs. Don't measure how long it's taking. Don't try to move them forward because you feel uncomfortable. Grief isn't something they're doing, it's something they are living through. They're not choosing how they feel. They're processing what has happened. Your role is to be there while they move through it. Be what they need in that moment. They're not fixable in this phase. You do not need to solve anything. Listening is the most powerful support that you can give them. Let's talk about heartbreak. When a relationship ends, you're not only grieving the person, you're grieving the identity that you held, the routine, the companionship, the security, and the imagined future, the shared life. Your emotional capacity is overwhelmed. Everything changes. Work, sleep, appetite, your focus. Grief reorganizes your entire world, and ordinary things can feel heavy. Keeping the house clean, seeing people, or being around mutual friends. Bruising and grief. Grief exposes emotional bruises. If your bruise is abandonment, the loss activates separation. If your bruise is rejection, estrangement magnifies. Grief does not create the bruise, but it does reveal it. That's why grief can feel even bigger than the event itself. What I mean by that is, if you're taken by surprise at the intensity when perhaps you were expecting relief or not to feel affected by what has happened. When you see the bruise clearly, your behaviour changes because your perspective changes. Before awareness, you will be responding from the bruise. After awareness, you respond from understanding. So when people are not sad, they might feel guilty for feeling relief. Dark night of the soul. Grief removes your ability to perform when you're in the dark night of the soul. You cannot avoid what you feel. And for many people, this is the first time that emotions are completely out of their control. That loss of control is confusing and it creates questions. Why is this happening? Who am I now? Why can't I stop crying? This is the dark night of the soul, and it's part of the process. Let's talk about a sensitive subject, suicide. Suicide devastates those who are left behind. The soul does transition back to the collective consciousness, and the devastation is felt by those left behind. Grief carries blame, anger, guilt, and confusion. From a soul life perspective, the soul returns immediately home. There is no retribution. What happens on earth stays on earth. The impact is felt and lived by those who were connected to the person. In SoulLife Psychology, the time and the way that we transition home or die is set. So go easy on yourself. With the loss of a child, there's a great shock in the human experience. Parents are grieving potential, the loss of future potential and memories that will never happen. Identity, who were they going to be? In recall work, the consistent observation is that the soul detaches from the body at transition. The soul returns home instantly, back to pure collective consciousness. The trauma does remain with the parents or those affected by the death. Your child's body was here briefly. Their consciousness is not gone. Your love for this child does not end with the body. With reconnection, communication continues through signs, through dreams, through knowing. Reconnection is learning a new language. When grief is intense, connection is harder to recognize. As grief eases, awareness returns. And you start to notice what was always there. Why grief exists? Grief expands your understanding of life. It changes your priorities. It exposes what matters the most. It deepens compassion. You understand people differently. You understand yourself differently. Grief can be the catalyst that sends you down an entirely different path. Unexpected, but meaningful. Continuity. Life doesn't begin at birth, and life doesn't end at death. Consciousness continues. Grief sits in the middle. Birth establishes individuality. Grief exposes love. Birth establishes individuality. Grief exposes an attachment to love. Death returns you to the collective consciousness. The cycle continually turns. Grief is not the death of you. It's the end of who you were before this loss. You'll never return to who you were. You're forever changed, but you become someone with a different perspective. Grief brings you closer to understanding life. This is SoulLife Psychology. This is the final episode for the series, Remember Who You Are. Understanding life, grief, and death changes how you experience yourself. Awareness is the ultimate activism.
What's the definition of insanity?